Imagine a time more than 400 years ago, when the land we now call America was still mostly wild forests, powerful rivers, and vast unexplored lands. European settlers had just begun arriving, and Native American tribes had lived on this land for thousands of years. Different cultures, different languages, and often deep mistrust between them. But in the middle of this uncertain time, a story emerged that people still talk about today. A story not only about survival and conflict, but about compassion, courage, and a connection between two people from completely different worlds. This is the story of Pocahontas and John Smith. Many historians consider it one of the oldest love stories in American history. But was it truly love? Or was it something even more powerful? A moment that changed history forever? Today, we will explore the real story behind the legend. Chapter 1: America in the early 1600s. In 1607, a group of English settlers arrived in North America and established the first permanent English colony. This colony was called Jamestown. The settlers were sponsored by the Virginia Company, but life in Jamestown was extremely difficult. The settlers struggled with hunger, disease, harsh weather, and conflicts with local Native American tribes. The land where Jamestown was built belonged to the powerful Chief Powhatan. He ruled over many tribes in the region. At first, relations between the settlers and the Powhatan people were tense and unpredictable. And it was during this time that an English explorer named John Smith became one of the colony's most important leaders. Chapter 2: The Arrival of John Smith. John Smith was not an ordinary man. He had already traveled across Europe and fought in wars before coming to the New World. He was brave, ambitious, and sometimes controversial. But he was also one of the few leaders in Jamestown who believed that the colony could survive. Smith helped organize food supplies and exploration missions. He often traveled into Native American territory to trade and gather information. But one of these journeys would soon change his life forever. Chapter 3: The Capture. In 1607, while exploring the rivers of Virginia, John Smith was captured by warriors of the Powhatan tribe. He was brought before Chief Powhatan. According to John Smith's later writings, the chief decided that Smith should be executed. Smith was forced to place his head on a stone. Warriors stood ready to strike. It seemed like the end, but then something extraordinary happened. A young girl suddenly rushed forward. She threw herself over John Smith, placing her own head on top of his. She was only around 11 or 12 years old. Her name was Pocahontas. She was the daughter of Chief Powhatan. Her brave act shocked everyone. And according to the story, her father decided to spare Smith's life. Chapter 4: Pocahontas. The young heroine, Pocahontas, was not actually her real name. Her birth name was Matoka. Pocahontas was a nickname that meant something like playful or mischievous one. She was known for her curiosity and friendly personality. After the rescue incident, Pocahontas often visited the Jamestown settlement. She helped bring food to the starving settlers. She also helped act as a bridge between the English colonists and the Powhatan people. Without her help, some historians believe the Jamestown colony might not have survived. Chapter 5: Friendship or Love. Over time, stories spread that Pocahontas and John Smith had fallen in love, but historians debate this. The truth may be more complicated. Pocahontas was still very young when she first met Smith. Some scholars believe their relationship was more like friendship and trust, not romantic love. Others believe there may have been a deeper emotional bond between them. Whatever the truth may be, one thing is certain: their relationship helped reduce tensions between two very different cultures. For a short time, peace existed between the settlers and the Powhatan tribes. Chapter 6: Separation. In 1609, John Smith was badly injured in an accident. He was forced to return to England. The settlers told the Powhatan people that Smith had died. When Pocahontas heard this news, she was heartbroken. For years afterward, she did not visit Jamestown again. The connection that once brought peace slowly faded. Tensions between settlers and Native Americans grew again. Chapter 7: Pocahontas' Later Life. Years later, Pocahontas was captured by English settlers during a conflict. While in captivity, she learned English and was introduced to Christianity. She eventually married an English settler named John Rolfe. After her marriage, she took the name Rebecca Rolfe. In 1616, she traveled to England with her husband. There, she became famous as a symbol of peace between cultures. And during that visit, something unexpected happened. She met John Smith again. Chapter 8: The Final Meeting. When Pocahontas discovered that John Smith was still alive, she was shocked. According to historical accounts, their reunion was emotional. She reminded him that he had once called Chief Powhatan father. This meant Smith had become part of her family. Their story had come full circle. But sadly, Pocahontas' life would soon end. Chapter 9: A Short Life, A Lasting Legacy. In 1617, while preparing to return to America, Pocahontas became ill. She died at the young age of around 21 years old. She was buried in St. George's Church. Although her life was short, her story became legendary. For centuries, people have retold the story of Pocahontas and John Smith, sometimes as history, sometimes as romance, sometimes as myth. Conclusion: the story of Pocahontas and John Smith remains one of the earliest and most famous human connections in American history. Was it truly a love story? Historians still debate that question, but one thing is clear. In a time of conflict and misunderstanding, a young girl showed extraordinary courage and compassion. Her actions helped save a life, and possibly helped shape the future of an entire nation. Stories like this remind us that sometimes the most powerful force in history is not war, not politics, but simple human kindness. And that is why the story of Pocahontas continues to live on more than 400 years later.